What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today's episode is all about the Yinny Tinny. This is a 2009 Tracker Topper 1032. This boat is tiny. This thing came from bare bones. It did have a little deck in it when we originally got it. We've ripped it down and we had this thing completely stock when we started, and then we started building and this thing turned into a masterpiece. This is the perfect little pond hopping boat. A one-man rig. This is a kayak killer. You can put this in the water by yourself without a boat ramp, and you can fish with the amenities of being in a full-size bass boat. It's a pretty badass little rig. Check this thing out. The Yinny Tinny. This thing turned out killer. Now, I really wanted to take this thing out into the water and test it, but it's like 20 degrees here. It's been snowing, and Fisher Yin is coming to pick this thing up in just a couple days. If you guys aren't familiar with who Fisher Yin is, go check him out. He's a cool dude, and this is the second build I've done with him. And I kind of like this one better than the first one, to be honest with you. This boat is really going to be a perfect one-man rig. It's got a 3.5 horsepower, two-stroke Nissan outboard. The thing's got a plastic prop on it. This motor is going to push this boat pretty quick. It's actually a little more than what it's rated for on the horsepower. It's only rated for 3 horsepower. I'm kind of excited to see how fast this thing will actually go. Let's start in the transom here. We've got a big transom hatch. Inside of these compartments, we do have LED lights. We turn those on. All the compartments have LED lights inside of them. This is his battery charger for his MillerTech battery he's got in there. He's got a lithium battery. Do a bilge in here. And then the rest of this area in here, it's just wide open for storage. It's a pretty good size hatch. And the way I did this one, I actually made it a little bit short. You can see the distance in here is bigger than it is in the rest of these hatches. And I did that because we ran this deck all the way to the back. That way if any water gets in here, it can get into here, get into that trough, and drain down where the bilge is at. In front of that, we've got another compartment. This is where the original bench used to be, right here. The original bench is right here. And we basically just welded a pan in the bottom that would house the battery. It's got a 12-volt, 100-amp-hour lithium battery from MillerTech in here. And this is the heart and soul of the entire build. This thing keeps everything going. It's a really nice battery. That's a pretty good sized back deck for a 10-foot boat. I mean, it's about 36 inches. And then we have port and starboard, little catwalk side panels, cup holders. The one on this side actually houses his electrical. We've got a switch panel here. It's a 6-gang switch panel. And this is a 12-gang fuse block. We use these 6 right here in line with these 6 switches right here. Turned out perfect though. I did throw in this little Garmin EchoMaps DV. This is a color scheme. Pretty cool unit, considering that it's only like maybe the size of your cell phone or smaller. But I mean, it's a whole lot better than nothing, and you can actually use this pretty well. It marks fish pretty decent. Ran the transducer off the bat on a 1x3 piece of tubing for the puck, and that way we didn't have to put any holes through the boat. We did repair all the original holes in the boat, so should have no holes anywhere in the boat except for all the rivet holes that are already in here. But yeah, check this thing out, man. Pretty cool. Our flooring here is about 26 inches square. I did throw in this drain right here. This is pretty cool. The new Trick 10s logo drain. I got a bunch of these. You guys are interested in those. Just wanted to have a way for the water to get out of here, because this turf is in here, this hydro turf, blue camo. Any of the turf, it's thick. And the way I install it, you got nice tight seams in here. They will be waterproof unless you put some type of drain in there, and this thing will fill up if you're fishing in the rain. So those drains are pretty nice. Into our front deck, original bench seat in the front. We dug the foam out of here, put a floor in here, and he's got lots of storage in there. We've got turf on all sides inside of this compartment, and that's basically his driest storage spot in the entire boat. And in front of that, this is our last hatch. This is the big one in the front deck. I put this one on a stainless steel gas piston just to help hold the thing up because it's pretty good size. And I didn't really want it to open all the way up because then it's going to lay on top of our foot pedal tray and cover the foot pedal. So this will work out good for me to hold it up. And this is the biggest compartment he has in here. He's got lots of room inside of here. Probably house a lot of his safety equipment, life jackets, and some tackle up inside of here too. All these hatches do have these drain tubes on them with the hoses coming out of them. I try to keep them as dry as possible, but this is probably my favorite hatch of all of them. They are equipped with these chrome handles. These are actually the compression ones, so keeps the rattle out of here. Keeps everything nice and quiet. And we installed this recessed foot pedal tray up in the bow here. This thing actually cut into the original bench, and then the rest of this is inside of this big compartment right here. But this is just a standard foot pedal tray, and I did have to mount his foot pedal in here, but it just has 4 Phillips head screws in here, and he can remove these with a screwdriver if he needs to remove this, because he's got a quick connect right here. And the cool thing about this trolling motor, that it has this bolt-on action right here with the clamps, and you can take this whole thing off if you want to. But it's also a foot-controlled trolling motor, and it's not one that flips back. It's going to be heavy and add a lot of weight up here. This trolling motor is elite. It's a Motor Guide Bulldog 40-pound thrust, 12-volt trolling motor. They only made these for a couple of years, and you know, Motor Guide's not even in production anymore. These things are actually pretty valuable, and they're hard to come by because they haven't made them in like 10 years or something, and the ones that you find are beat up. This thing is basically being garage kept, barely used, doesn't really have any dents or scratches on it really. It's a really sick little trolling motor. And it's the perfect pond hopping trolling motor because you can remove it. You can remove the outboard. This boat has a dry weight of 87 pounds. We probably put about 50 pounds of metal and batteries inside of here. So one man can easily drag this off the trailer, put it in the water, and return it onto the water and load it back up. On the bow up here, these spotlights originally were on the boat. They both work. So I figured might as well put them back on there, and it's pretty bright. It'll help him out at night seeing for sure. We did add the nav lights up here, and we've got a socket in the back that's a receiver for his anchor light. But it just turned out sick, man. We got the interior white LED strip lights. Those are the cool white. Exterior, we've got the blue, and kind of went with the old school pinstripe look. The Trick Tins logo, a black pinstripe, and the Yinny Tinny logos on the back. All in all, this thing is a really cool build. I really wish I had a chance to take it out in the water because I like to run around with it and see what it can do. But unfortunately, this wasn't in the cards for this one. Fisher Yin's coming to pick this thing up in 2 days, and it's 20 degrees outside. I'm not going out in the water just to see what this thing can do. Not to mention, by the time I get home from work, it's pretty much dark, so it's just not going to happen. The rig looks really good. It's going to be a head turner. Definitely going to get a lot of attention, but I think that the functionality of it is really where this thing's going to strive. With a rig like this, you can take this out into those remote areas. You can launch this in a neighborhood. You can launch this in an industrial pond, and that's where all those big fish are at that aren't pressured. And you might actually catch your personal best out there out of a rig like this. Now look at this trailer, the way it's set up. These bunks are long, and the reason for that, having the slope on it, is so that you can drag it back, and it's easier to slide it off and get it in the water without a ramp. I mean, potentially, you could back this thing up to the edge of the water. This can hang over the water. You could just push it right off into the water. And this also having that slope, that will help with loading the boat. When you're by yourself, you can slide it up here, hook it up with the crank in the front, and winch it all the way back up where it needs to be. I mean, the boat is light enough that I could pick it up by myself, no problem. Definitely going to be a cool rig for him, though. All right, guys. Pretty dope, right? Not only is this the smallest boat that I've ever built, but Fisher Yin has now become the only person in the world that I have built 2 completely tricked out Trick Tins builds for. pretty cool. I mean, the dude is awesome. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. His name is Ryan Yin. His YouTube channel is Fisher Yin. He does some cool content, and I can't wait to see where he takes this thing. I got a feeling that he might just catch his personal best out of this tiny rig. Now, he does have other boats, some big boats, but I think this is going to be the one he's going to catch his PB out of, because he's going to be out there in that remote lake where nobody fishes. The fish are not pressured, and there's been giants sitting in there for years just eating up all the small fish. I got a good feeling that he's going to take this thing out and he's going to get addicted to fishing those small ponds, the neighborhood ponds, the private ponds. You know, you're not going to be fishing tournaments out there, Ryan, but everybody likes to catch big fish, and I'm sure that people like to watch people catch big fish. Anyways, the build was cool. I'm glad it's done. I have a feeling that this isn't the last build I'm going to do with Ryan, considering that in just 1 year, we built 2 boats together. There's a good chance that he might have the 3rd Trick 10. As always, I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. If you want any of my merch, you can check that out on trick10s.net. If you're interested in any of my aluminum products, you can find those on trick10sjohnboats.com. And if you guys want to send me an email about purchasing anything, hit me up on professionalwelding@gmail.com. I'll see you guys on the next one. Let's get back to work.